Hello, my name is Lance Gunkel. I'm the managing director for Severson Strege, and I am joined by Jason Gunkel, our chief investment officer. And since things are moving rapidly in the markets and with the economy, I should state that we are recording this video on May 19th. We are currently in a pandemic-induced economic decline. On April 14th, the U.S. Department of Labor indicated that about 3 million additional people filed for unemployment, and that brings the 8-week total to over 36 million unemployed. This means that the unemployment rate in the U.S. will likely be in excess of 15%. Some economists are suggesting it may even reach upwards of 30%. Whatever that end number turns out to be, it's dramatically high. We do know that in time, a recovery will occur, and those recoveries can take different shapes, and economists refer to them by 5 different shapes. And Jason, I'm wondering if you can describe those for us.
Sure. Let me show you a slide here that shows some different shapes of an economic downturn and a recovery, which just refers to the shape of the graph as we look at economic growth. And as we have a recession, of course, the economic growth will decline. And then as the economy recovers, growth or GDP growth will increase. So here's 5 common shapes. We have a V, a U, a W, an L, and we'll call the last one a swoosh. So the most common would be a V, and we're hoping this time around that it's a V, but we've heard a lot of economists lately maybe think it's going to take on a different shape.
So, Jason, can you give us some context and maybe look back in time as to what different recoveries looked like and how many we've had in recent memory?
Yeah, you bet. So as we look at this chart here, it shows recessions that we've had going back to 1950. And since that time, there's been 10 recessions in the U.S., this according to the Bureau of Economic Analysis. And right off the bat here, you see in 1954, there's a shape that looks like a V. And so this is a clear V-shaped recession where we had a swift downturn followed by also a swift recovery where the economy recovered just about as quickly as it fell. And then as we go along, you can see in the 1970s, 1974, 1975, you can see a shape that definitely resembles a U. And so we had a downturn followed by a period of time where economic growth was very flat before the economy did recover to its previous growth numbers. And then going to the 1980s, you can see a shape here that looks like a W. And a W refers to a double dip recession because there are 2 recessions. So you can see there was one here in 1981 and another one again in 1983. And then as we look more recently, after we got done with the technology bubble at the end of the 90s, we had a recession in the early 2000s. And this shape here, we're going to call it the Nike swoosh here. And you can see there's a swift downturn, and then the market gets a nice bounce. But after the bounce, it's kind of a slower type of recovery. So it's not quite a V, it's not quite a U shape. We'll call it a swoosh here to give Nike the credit. So Lance, this time around, we know that this recession is unique. At least this virus has been very unique. Can you give us a little more insight about what might make this recession a little different from those of the past? And can you give us your prediction of what shape this recovery is going to look like?
Yeah, we'll warm up the fortune teller skills. No, this recession will be different. Historically, at least the more recent recessions have been brought about due to weaknesses within companies or certain sectors of the economy. And we were fortunate that leading up to today, generally the financial system in the U.S. was pretty healthy. Companies had strong balance sheets on the whole, so they went into it in the best possible fashion. And instead, this recession has been triggered by this pandemic. So as we look towards an eventual recovery, it will be dependent upon getting consumers back to business as usual. And I suspect that that will not happen fully until we have a vaccine available. So I guess step one is let's cross our fingers for rapid development of an effective vaccine. In the interim, however, the economy may need some lift or assistance from the government. And so far, we've had the CARES Act passed by Congress that provided about $2 trillion of support. Included in that was $350 billion that went to companies through Paycheck Protection Program. And then there were some direct payments to individuals. Now, last week, the Federal Reserve Chair, Jerome Powell, issued a warning that the U.S. economy could be permanently damaged if Congress doesn't provide for some additional support to help business bankruptcies, to prevent business bankruptcies, and eliminate some prolonged unemployment. So far, we've seen little progress in negotiations for additional relief measures, but I think that's the second thing we need to wish for is some additional government support during this interim period. So I won't even venture to guess what shape this recovery may take. If we do have a vaccine and some government assistance along the way, we can really hope for that V-shaped recovery. So, Jason, I think we'll leave it there for today, and we'll end up with a note of hope for further economic improvement. On behalf of Severson Strege and Jason Gunkel, we thank you for watching us today. If you have any questions about how this relates to your personal financial situation, I encourage you to contact us. Thank you. Have a great day.